And today I want to talk to you about the up and coming Positive Farmers Dairy Conference, which is happening on January the 15th and 16th in Clonmel. And the title of the conference is based around profitable expansion at low risk. And to discuss the conference today, I'm talking here with Mike Murphy. So Mike, what is the theme and the background to this year's conference?
Well, I suppose the context for Irish farmers is after 30 years of complete stagnation. We're entering an exciting new era. Exciting in the sense that the limits are coming off, we'll say that, but it's also challenging in the sense of, we'll say that there will be risks as people, start expanding. And it's probably start to sum up our view. If I might paraphrase Plunkett, the great champion of Irish co-ops, he said, better farming, better prosperity, better dignity. We'd probably actually say better farming coupled with good business leads to prosperity and dignity for Irish farming families, and that's what we want.
And Mike, who should be thinking of coming to the conference?
In Ireland at the minute, we'd say we have there's an estimated 8,000 existing dairy farmers thinking of expanding. There's another 4,000 dry stock and tillage farmers who are suggesting that they're thinking of converting. Plus there's a flow of new entrants as well. Plus, by the way, of our UK colleagues who come over, where expansion has been open to them for many years. So they all should be interested.
Mike, there is some evidence that there is a lot of risk involved in this, and particularly some lessons we could learn from New Zealand.
Very much so. We'll say that that New Zealand has been expanding. They've more than trebled their production in the last 20 years, and mostly it's been successful. But there's an estimated 28% who are very, very deep in debt, we'll say that, who are under pressure, some of whom are actually being pushed very hard by banks. So we'll say that we want, one of the lessons is it's not just technical skills alone, it's also necessary to have good business skills and good people skills, we'll say that, to successfully expand. We do not want people getting into deep financial distress, we'll say.
Okay, maybe you could actually outline what are the main technical skills that farmers should really have on board before they look at the other skills that are needed?
Well, everything connected to cows and grass, we'll say that, and we're not for 1 second minimising the necessity to be very, very good in these areas. Areas we're particularly covering this year. One would be, we'll say that, the subject of grazing on heavy land. And in my 45 odd years of farming, 2009 and 2012 probably showed up the difficulties of grazing in heavy land. And on that area, we're lucky to have Pat Toohey, who's now leading a major project in Moorpark on drainage, and he'll be talking about actually draining land, difficult land, of which we've plenty. And Emer Kennedy has done some fantastic work in terms of, we'll say that, grazing land that's only just fit to graze, we'll say that, and where cows go out for 3 hours after each milking, we'll say that, and are then shifted off, where they will actually take in 95% of normal intake. It's a fairly remarkable figure.
Okay. And then the other technical areas that we will be covering?
Yeah, and very, very strong progress in technological progress in this area in the last 3 or 4 years. We'll say that it's now, we'll say, very much an option, a live option, we'll say, open to dairy farmers. Stephen Butler of Moorpark will give us the lowdown, we'll say, on the breakthrough in that area and the science behind it. Pat Ryan, very, very good dairy farmer from County Waterford, will run through, we'll say that, how he's it affecting the options open to him, and as to whether he'll be changing his breeding policies, we'll say, to any significant effect.
Okay, well, if we move off the technical areas now, what about the other areas that you think are going to be very important and that we are covering in the Positive Farmers?
Well, one of them would be new entrants, and in the new entrants field, we'll say that we have 2 speakers. Well, when I say new entrants, people coming into farming. One is a very, very good young lad called Sean Cummins, who said that a PhD from Moorpark, going back home, will say that, and will be working with his father and his uncle, will say that, which is a situation, will say that, working with different people, it's not just good enough to expand. The necessity of expanding harmoniously, bringing everybody associated with you. So Sean will address that topic. And David Jennings will say that qualified as a farm manager, very good young farm manager, and has entered into an equity type arrangement with his farm owner. And I suspect will say that this will be very, very much a trend, will say, for the better people, will say that will have equity options open to them. So that subject should be of great interest to people who haven't land at the moment but wish to have equity within farming.
Okay, who are the other speakers in the non-technical areas?
Well, in the non-technical area, we have very lucky in the sense that we have 3 of the best dairy farmers in the world. We have Leonie and Kieran Guiney, who just made remarkable progress, we'll say that, in New Zealand. Over the last 10 years, people will remember Leonie as an amazingly good consultant back in Ireland from 95 to 99. Probably the best young couple, will say that, in New Zealand. But we're fortunate also to have Kevin Toomey, as good a dairy farmer as we have in Ireland, Ned Dale, right up there, and perhaps the best in the UK. And they're talking in a very practical way, we'll say that, about things like evaluating opportunities for expansion, project management, managing people, those kind of areas.
And budgeting as well, of course, Mike, and financial.
And well, Leonie is really kicking into that in a big way, we'll say that, because the importance of careful budgeting, both in project management and equally operational management, it is paramount, because if expansion in a way that destroys wealth is the result of, let's say, flying blind, not budgeting accurately. And so it's absolutely essential to understand whether a situation makes sense to go ahead or not. And it's essential then to actually make your budget. Doing this successfully is what gives you good options for the whole family, we'll say. So it's absolutely key.
And finally, Mike, tell us a little bit about milk price and how you and maybe other speakers see milk price going in the future.
Well, we're lucky that we've Piet Boer will say that and some people might remember he talked to the Grassland 30 years ago, and the now chairman of Friesland Campina, the biggest dairy co-op in the world, and Piet will say that we'll talk about first of all the milk price. Secondly, we'll talk about in what way was he prepared to take the position of chair, and there's 30 years of grooming, we'll say, goes into that, and finally we'll say that I will give a little bit of a chastening warning about one of the risks which I'd start to see to milk price, which is likely to happen, I think, at some point over the next 3 or 4 years.
So Mike, milk price may not always be as high as it was last year, and in fact farmers should be thinking of how they will be able to cope with lower milk prices in the future.
Milk price at the moment is wonderful, but people are living in a fool's paradise if they think it's always going to be there. Volatility is a fact of life, we'll say that, and will be. It's an essential part of planning. How will you cope, we'll say that, with the years, maybe 1 in 3 or 1 in 4, when milk price comes down perhaps 25% from where it is at the moment.
So Mike, what is your final message to farmers who are thinking of increasing cow numbers or converting existing farms to dairying over the next number of years?
My final message would be not alone to go to the conference, but to actually go to the dinner that night, because you will hear some really super speakers, but more than just hearing, we'll say that I think it's really important to go to that dinner and have the opportunity to network with, if you like, some of the very, very best farmers in Ireland and the UK. We'll say it's absolutely priceless, we'll say, an opportunity not to be missed.